All right. My name is Datu. Welcome to episode 1 of my podcast. As I'm deciding to make more content, I'm realizing that nothing has to be perfect. I am just starting. So I did just start a vlog, and I decided to record episodes in podcast form as well, and also upload them as a podcast for Spotify and Apple Music if you aren't watching this on YouTube. I've been extremely excited to make tons of content. The way that I'm going to make this different from the actual vlog episodes, because on the vlog you can visually see like my life experiences, all the eventful memories that I choose to record. This podcast is going to be like more designed towards sharing my life experiences verbally through like my storytelling and also self-development. I think that's going to be a huge thing. I really want to touch upon a lot of things that have helped me grow, things that I've read in books, also from other people, their stories as well. And I'm planning to have guests on eventually in the future as well. But for this first episode 1, you just got me. I'm in no way an expert, but I believe that sharing my true personal experiences, that in the moment, sometimes they seem positive, sometimes they seem negative, but the goal is to help you face challenges when life throws obstacles your way, because we're all getting hit the same way. I just want to share these experiences because we're all in the same boat. You know, some people have it more figured out than others. You know, life throws things at you all the time. And I think sharing my experiences may help you deal with some things that you might be facing as well. So I do plan to get a little more vulnerable on the podcast and really come out of my shell and share a lot of deep things with you as well. Not just touch the surface, because we are all in this together. I have my notes in front of me here, actually, and let's just get right into it. This is more of a self-development episode. So I'm going to try to touch upon mental health, physical health, and spiritual health, right? And all the things that play a part into that. I'm not going to touch those 3 things every time I have a self-development episode. Today is more towards your spiritual self, whether you believe in God or another higher power. I still hope that I can reach you with what I'd like to share in my perspective, right? So let me dive into my notes. There's a couple quotes that I've heard recently that I'd like to share. So I am a Christian, and so this quote actually I got from church on Sunday, and it's, when God disrupts your life, you can be sure that God has a good purpose for it. So let me say that again. When God disrupts your life, you can be sure that God has a good purpose for it. So I think we can all relate when I say life happens, right? Sometimes things don't go our way. Sometimes things never go our way. Adversity hits us. How do we respond? How do we react? Sometimes we're always questioning ourselves, right? Our own beliefs, we have self-doubt instead of self-confidence, right? How do we flip the switch on that? We're questioning why is this happening to me? Sometimes we blame God. Let's be honest. Even as a Christian, I can remember moments that I've had in my life, Lord, why is this happening to me? Or why am I feeling this way? Sometimes it helps to reflect within yourself. Sometimes you can feel a huge enlightenment through prayer and talking to God as well. The funny thing is, though, we always have to embrace it. So how can we embrace it in a way that feels healthy, that feels like we're still doing the right thing even when we feel disruptive, right? When God disrupts our life. Sometimes things happen to us in order for us to grow, whether we're at rock bottom or whether we're complacent with where we're at. Bad things disrupt what we're going through to make a change. When we are too comfortable, we're not going to level up in any certain way. In fact, there's actually no maintaining. We can't maintain what we're on always, because the world is always evolving. The world is always changing. One of my favorite books is called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And in this book, he explains that I'll try to use a visual with my words here. Let's say there's 2 arrows. There's one arrow on top. There's one arrow on the bottom, right? So one arrow on the bottom, left to right, it's going straight and then it curves down. The arrow on top is straight from left to right and then curves up. The point that he's trying to make here is that there is no such thing as staying in the middle, staying centered. Without change, you're actually just going to go down. There's no such thing as staying in the middle. So as you go through life, if you are staying the exact same and you are not getting better, you're not maintaining where you're at. You're actually going downhill in your self-development because the world is changing. The people around you are changing. If you think you're staying the same, you're actually exacerbating your own self-growth. So when change happens, how do we respond? The way that we respond allows us to either go up or think we're staying the same and go downhill from there. I hope that made sense the way that I explained that. What I'm trying to say is that doing the same thing over and over again, we're just going to get the same results. So in order to change those results, something else has to change. So that's when God, I'm using God for this example here in my story. God will create a disruption in your life because what I believe is that if you are walking in faith, God has to make a change in your life so that you grow. God loves you enough to show you that there are better things out there than what you are complacent with. And God loves you enough to show you that, to humble you if you have to hit rock bottom as well. Here's another quote. Walking with Jesus does not always offer a supernatural solution for our suffering, but we can be assured that there's a supernatural purpose for it. So sometimes we don't know why this is happening to us. We also don't know the solution to get out of what we're experiencing, the disruption that just happened in our life. Jesus doesn't always offer us a supernatural solution for our suffering, for our pain. Why am I hurting? If you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be. So I'm going to give you those two quotes again. The first one was, when God disrupts your life, you can be sure that God has a good purpose for it. And the second quote, when we walk with God, God doesn't always offer a supernatural solution, but we can be assured that there's a supernatural purpose for it. It doesn't mean that there's not a solution. It means that sometimes we don't get to know. We don't get to know how God is going to surprise us and show up in the future. We just have to have faith that we continue to do what we're supposed to do. God's going to allow us to get to where we need to be. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to end this little topic that I decided to start episode 1 with my favorite verse, Galatians 6:9. And Galatians 6:9 is, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in good season we shall reap if we faint not. Short version of that, we will reap what we sow. Let us not be weary in well-doing. If we continue fighting, if we continue doing good things, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. For in due season, when it is time, when God says so, we will reap the benefits if we faint not, if we don't give up. Such a beautiful verse. It's literally my favorite verse. I hope that my notes and I hope that the topic that I decided to share with you today can help you, can motivate you, can inspire you. I'm extremely excited to continue to share content and share my experiences. So thank you for listening. And until next time, my name is Datu.